few years ago, my life was very different. I was a top performing sales rep for a Fortune 500 company. I loved my job and had plans for my career. Training, marketing, management, the options were endless. I knew if I worked hard, I would get results. When I became pregnant with my first child, I had no intention of quitting work to stay at home. Why should I? The money was good, I was successful, and the work stimulated me. I felt that I would be giving up an important part of myself if I stayed home, and that wouldn't be good for me or my baby. Besides, my husband Bradford and I had purchased a home that required both our incomes to make our mortgage payment, so leaving my job was simply not an option. After our daughter was born, I felt the Lord tugging at my heart to take a leap of faith and leave my high-paying job. This was no easy decision because I brought home half of our income. Would our family have enough money to live on without my income? Though I wanted to follow the Lord's leading for my family, I dreaded the financial impact on our lives. I knew that statistics show more than half of marriages end in divorce, with money problems playing a major role. Who needs that kind of financial pressure? So I went back to work. Yet after 2 months back in the office, I just couldn't shake the tug in my heart that the Lord wanted me to be an at-home mom. My husband and I discussed it at length and decided I would give my 2-week notice. Through that incredibly risky step, I began to see an opportunity for God to supernaturally meet our needs in practical, day-to-day ways. When Bradford and I worked out our first one-income budget, we were stunned to discover how much money we were wasting each month on non-essentials. We thought we were good about not overspending, but we realized we could do a much better job. Not only were we paying full price for our groceries, cleaning supplies, and toiletries, but we were spending far too much on other things like dining out. My husband's income was going to need to stretch further, and God provided a dear friend, Rebecca, to serve as my savings mentor. She introduced me to a new way of saving through shopping sales, stocking ahead, and using coupons. She had always lived this way. Rebecca's mom had taught her to use coupons and to buy groceries on sale. Learning from her turned out to be just the beginning of my adventure in savings. I ran with my newfound knowledge. It's amazing how little you can spend when you're focused. Over the next few months, I learned many creative ways to save money. In 1 year's time, I was pleased to see our grocery and dining out budget go from $1,100 per month to just under $200 per month. Thrilled, I shared my saving success story with friends. Soon, I was teaching savvy saving ideas to other people who wanted to learn too. I taught my first class to 30 women in a friend's home. From there, I began to teach classes in her home every month. Often the workshops were in such high demand that there wasn't enough space to admit everyone who was interested. This led to the successful launch of the Faithful Provisions blog, www.faithfulprovisions.com, and an email subscription with daily money-saving tips. Local and national media followed as thousands discovered that they too could slash their grocery bills and save money. What I soon learned was that this was part of God's plan for me and just the beginning of my opportunity to trust in Him. In the winter of 2009, the economic downturn that had been affecting families across the country finally impacted us. My husband's job was downsized, and he found himself unemployed with a wife, 2 children, a mortgage, and bills. His salary, bonus, car, fuel card, and benefits like health care were all gone. I had left my job voluntarily, and now my husband was laid off. What a turn of events from 4 years before. As a wife and mother, it is difficult to see your husband struggle with the double whammy of losing his job and the loss of income that comes with it. Sure, Bradford's ego was bruised, but he had peace with the circumstances. No sooner than the day after the layoff, God opened the door for me to teach more classes. This time, however, churches were calling to schedule workshops, and they actually wanted to pay me to do it. Bradford knew restoring his career was going to be a challenge in this new economy, but he set about trying to find a job. The offers didn't pour in, so it was during this period that he took a deeper interest in the Faithful Provisions blog. I was pleased when he approached me about offering to help out with sales and business planning. A dream of mine was coming true. I had always wanted to work from home with my husband, doing something we enjoyed. After all, he's my best friend. Since then, he has gone back to work outside the home, but we continue to work together on growing our business. With the money-saving strategies we learned in the time leading up to the layoff, we were in a position not only to stretch our budget, but to help others do the same and encourage generosity in those who are struggling. My hope is that in sharing our journey, you will be encouraged to see God's promises fulfilled in the practical realm as well as the spiritual. As you step out in faith, I believe that God will help you just like He helped us. Are you ready to begin your saving savvy adventure?